Prosecutors are looking into a new Chinese spying case involving Taiwan's national airline. Taiwan needs to secure its energy supply. Can it meet its renewable energy goals? Ukrainian NGO has a warning for Taiwan. Be prepared. Plus, river races and sticky rice dumplings. We look at how Taiwan is celebrating the Dragon Boat Festival. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Liao. Prosecutors say a former China Airlines employee leaked sensitive information to the alleged head of a Chinese spy ring. They say that information included presidential travel itineraries. Louise Watt has been following the case and she joins us now live from Taipei. Louise, what more can you tell us?
This is the latest allegation of spying to emerge in Taiwan. Prosecutors say they believe an ex-employee of China Airlines, that's Taiwan's flag carrier, leaked confidential information between February and April last year, including the itinerary of then-President Tsai Ing-wen when she went on overseas trips. The information also included lists of foreign dignitaries visiting Taiwan and US arms sales. Now, where did all this information allegedly end up? China. This isn't a totally new case. This came to light during an ongoing investigation into a spy case focused on a Diabolo or yo-yo instructor called Lu Jixian. Now, prosecutors say he was enlisted by China and he, along with others, paid tens of thousands of dollars to military officers to get access to meeting reports and training documents. Now, this Diabolo instructor is believed to have received the information from the China Airlines staffer. The airline says they've cooperated with the investigation and have dismissed the employee. They say they took the matter seriously and have reviewed their operational procedures.
How big of a problem is spying in Taiwan? Are the two cases you mentioned unusual?
The involvement of an airline is unusual. Chinese espionage cases are not. China and Taiwan's relations are tense, and China has for years run campaigns against Taiwan, trying to gain intel and steal secrets. Taiwan in recent years has tried dozens of spy cases. Those accused of spying for China are mostly retired military officers, sometimes still serving military officers. And rather than betraying their country for any ideological reasons, the main motivation often seems to be money. In the case of the Diabolo instructor, the spy ring there appears to have focused its efforts on money lenders and loan sharks located close to army bases when they've been trying to recruit military officers. Now, it's unclear whether Taiwan is getting better at rooting out these spy networks or whether the cases that we hear about are simply a drop in the ocean. But what is clear is that each time a new case comes to light, it has the potential to undermine trust in Taiwan's government and military, particularly among foreign partners, countries like the United States, who Taiwan depends on for their help to deter China from one day possibly attacking it.
Well, thank you for that coverage, Louise. That was Louise Watt live from Taipei reporting on a new alleged data leak. Concerns are growing over Taiwan's energy security and supply. The country relies mostly on imported fossil fuels for its power, but as it looks to attract more foreign tech investment, many people are asking how Taiwan can square its green energy goals with increasing energy demands. Reese Ayers has more.
Not in our backyard. That's the message from protesters in Taipei's neighbouring city of Taoyuan, angry about renewed plans to build 3 solid recovered fuel, or SRF, plants in the area. Plans that were initially halted by the city government, now given a second life.
当初会废止 SRF 厂商的专案入园许可， 最主要是因为机部收回推荐函，所以呢，造成3家 SF 厂的专业入园程序呢已经不完备，这样的一个溯源结果，令人感到遗憾。
SRF factories produce energy by processing waste that would otherwise be sent to a landfill. Opponents of the technology call it fake green energy and have concerns about the pollution it produces.
政府它有它的能源政策，不能影响我们大潭里民生活的品质。这个3家同时进驻我们的大潭里，那我们空污排放总量绝对会超标。最后我们还是要团结我们的里民来向经济部做抗议。
But its proponents say it's a high-yield green energy source and an effective way to deal with waste.
To me, the important thing to remember that this is trash that would have to go somewhere. In Taiwan, if we're not burning it, it means it's going to go into a landfill.
Advocates of SRF plants also say newer factories are much cleaner and more efficient than older ones and can contribute to Taiwan's plans to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. A goal seen by many as overly ambitious, particularly considering renewable sources currently account for just around 10% of the country's grid. Some propose better utilising Taiwan's existing nuclear plants, which they say could also help with Taiwan's energy security in the face of an increasingly aggressive China.
I think the whole world has had a major rethink of nuclear power in the wake of several existential threats. The biggest one of which is climate change. And we know that nuclear energy is zero carbon. And then, of course, there's energy security, which is very salient after the war in Ukraine.
But with the current administration firmly opposed to nuclear energy, it doesn't look like Taiwan's remaining plants will be up and running anytime soon. And the country could be about to face even more energy demands. In the wake of Taipei's Computex, one of the world's largest tech expos, more huge tech companies may be looking to set up shop in Taiwan. Nvidia and Foxconn announced plans to build a computing centre in the south, which, with a focus on advancing AI technology, will require a lot of power not previously budgeted for. And even some industry leaders have expressed concerns about Taiwan's ability to generate enough energy to power the foreign tech it's looking to bring to the country.
有一些能源的表现方式是间歇性的这个发电，有风就有电，没风就没电。无论是 AI 还是半导体晶片的制造，都必须是一个稳定的这个电力供应。
The current administration's opposition to nuclear power, plans for more tech facilities, and 2050 net zero goals seem to pose a bit of a paradox, particularly for a country currently so reliant on imports for its energy, and one so vulnerable to being switched off by China. Howard Chung and Rhys Ayres for TaiwanPlus.
A Ukrainian civil defender who's working to fend off the Russian invasion of her country says Taiwan needs to keep vigilant and prepare for the worst. I met with her in Taipei to find out more. Katerina Muzlova has first-hand experience with the brutality of war. She's a Ukrainian civil defender working to defend her country from Russia's invasion.
Some days we go to front line, we stay there 1 or 2 days and help people, help military or civilians.
Katerina is from Mykolaiv in southern Ukraine, an area close to the fighting between Ukrainian and Russian forces. Her father, a Ukrainian Marine, has been a POW in Russia since 2022.
I got only one call from him in March 2022, and after that I didn't have any information because he was captivated from Russians, and he actually still in captivity with other military defenders of Mariupol.
Katerina processes her hardships through productivity. She helped found Heart in Action, a charitable organization that's looking to support Ukraine.
When my father was in Mariupol as a defender, I had to recognize that I need to do something to help my father, to help my schoolmates who was defenders at Kharkiv.
One of her big achievements is securing help from Taiwan. Katerina coordinated the donation of dozens of rescue vehicles from Taiwan to Ukraine.
Our NGO was a recipient of the first part of this support. It was 48 cars.
At the end of May, Katerina came to Taiwan with a message: be prepared. Like Ukraine, Taiwan also faces threats from its neighbor. China claims Taiwan as part of its territory and hasn't ruled out taking it by force. Beijing regularly sends warplanes and ships near Taiwan to intimidate the country. She says this is no time for Taiwan to get complacent.
I think that people here in Taiwan, they try to don't think that it have possibility to be invasion from China and China training. After inauguration, I received this news that they training again, and people from Ukraine started oh my God, from one war to other one? No. And Russian did training only 2 or 4 years, so be careful.
One place where Katerina sees room for improvement is Taiwan's public air raid shelters. Taiwan claims to have thousands of these shelters, but most are underground parking garages or basements. Katerina says they won't cut it if war breaks out.
For my opinion, it was totally not prepared because there was some water, there wasn't anything actually. So you even can't sit there, you can't charge your phone there, nothing.
War has taken a heavy toll on Katerina. While here, she attended President Hsiao's inauguration, an event that's heavy-handed with military ceremony. The sounds of cannon salutes and flyovers from aircraft triggered harsh memories for her.
I have kind of PTSD. Was a little bit stressful when jets go and start things. So
behind Katerina's smile and friendly demeanor lies trauma and hardship. But the experience she gained from those scars provide valuable lessons for Taiwan's future. Lian, Eason Chen, Yu Chen Lai, and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus. Japan is making its first appearance in the biennial U.S.-led Valiant Shield military exercises in the Western Pacific. Valiant Shield is one of the U.S.'s largest war games and trains all branches of militaries involved on how to work together in this part of Asia. Japan says this year armed forces will also carry out drills in waters that extend from Japan to the Philippines and the east coast of Taiwan. The drills will last until June 18th. As military activity ramps up in the Indo-Pacific, countries like Japan are boosting their defenses in case of a conflict. For more on this and how it could affect Taiwan, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Robert Ward, Director of Geoeconomics and Strategy at the International Institute of Strategic Studies.
So in terms of this exercise, this Valiant Shield 2024, Japan's first time joining these exercises, what does that say about the role and the position it's going to play in maintaining security in the Indo-Pacific?
Well, Japan's in the middle of one of perhaps the biggest set of defense reforms that it's undertaken since the end of the Second World War. So really major stuff. And it set out its plans in the 2022 National Security Strategy, which was the end, if you like, of the post-war view that had predominated, basically that Japan would rely on the US for all its defense, would be quite passive. One of the key bits about how Japan views its strategic environment now is it sees it's important to disrupt invasions and the like outside its own territory. And this is a really important psychological, emotional, strategic leap for Japan. But that means that it has to work far more closely now, operationally, strategically, with the United States.
Is there any kind of message that Japan is trying to send here in conducting these large-scale exercises with the U.S.?
Well, with Valiant Shield 2024, clearly Japan's trying to do, and the US trying to do a number of things. One is defense diplomacy to signal to China that the alliance with Japan is ironclad and it is deepening. And within this, if there was a contingency in Taiwan, Japan's role will be absolutely key for the US, certainly in the early stages of any conflict. So it's very important strategically for the US and Japan to be sending this signal to China.
And in terms of Taiwan and a potential war there, how important is Japan in possibly working with the United States to help Taiwan in the event of a conflict?
I think over the last couple of years, you've seen quite a big change in how Japanese government, Japanese politicians articulate the risks around Taiwan. When Prime Minister Suga met President Biden a couple of years ago, he spoke about the importance of the stability of the Taiwan Strait, the security and the stability in the Taiwan Strait, which was for Japan at the time quite a big thing to say. Since then, you had other people politicians from the cabinet saying Taiwan's security is Japan's security, etc. So the government's now being far more forward-leaning on recognizing the importance of Taiwan's security for Japan.
That was Robert Ward of the International Institute of Strategic Studies speaking with reporter Jaime Okan. We're going to take a quick break, but stick with us because coming up on TaiwanPlus News, the Vice President is visiting quake-hit Hualien, trying to revive the area's travel industry.
本来是我个人预计要邀请一些驻台的使节，好，那同时也正在跟外交部在做规划。
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Vice President Hsiao is trying to help earthquake-hit Hualien recover. She hopes a visit to the area will encourage tourism, a key industry that's taken a big hit since the big earthquake hit in early April. John Van Triest has the story.
Vice President Hsiao is back in the place she used to call home. She represented Hualien on Taiwan's east coast for 8 years as a lawmaker. Now she's back to help Hualien get back on its feet. The magnitude 7.2 earthquake that rocked Taiwan in April had its epicenter very close to here, and the destruction has been economic as well as physical. Hualien is a scenic region known for its tourism and hospitality industry, but the more than 1,000 aftershocks that followed the big quake have kept visitors away. Hotels are still at just around 10% capacity, even though Taiwan's in the middle of a long holiday weekend. Hsiao hopes taking a mini vacation here will encourage other people to come, and she's not alone. Japan's envoy to Taiwan has organized a tour group made up of Japanese nationals who reside in the country, and Hsiao's made sure to thank the visitors.
本来是我个人预计要邀请一些驻台的使节，好，那同时也正在跟外交部在做规划，但是日本电山代表自己率先这个靠山领域。
It's not just earthquakes keeping people away from Hualien, though. There have been some calls to boycott the area for political reasons. That's because of anger at Hualien lawmaker Fu Kun-chi, the leader of the opposition Kuomintang caucus. KMT lawmakers and their allies recently passed controversial reforms expanding the legislature's powers, reforms that saw up to 100,000 protesters on the streets of Taipei. But the vice president says she's against a boycott.
我之前也带了40位党工一起来花莲关心，现在也需要很多的温暖。好，那我们就不要用政治的角度来看待。
With the summer travel season just around the corner, both Hsiao and local businesses are hoping a slump that's lasted over 2 months could be about to end. Justin Wu and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
Far-right parties have gained ground in Europe. Polls for the EU parliamentary election have closed, and initial results show defeats for German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron. In France, the results have pushed Macron to take extreme action. Joyce Zeng has more.
After 3 days of voting across the EU's 27 member states to elect a new parliament, far-right parties are emerging as the winners.
Europeans have cast their votes, and the world's largest transnational democratic exercise has now concluded.
Far-right parties have secured a stronghold in Italy and made major gains in Austria. Germany, and France, dealing blows to two of the bloc's leaders, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron. The results have pushed Macron to dissolve the French parliament and call for snap legislative elections later this month.
Je dissous donc ce soir l'Assemblée nationale. Cette décision est grave, lourde, mais c'est avant tout un acte de confiance. Confiance en vous, mes chers compatriotes, en la capacité du peuple français à faire le choix le plus juste pour lui-même et pour les générations futures.
The gamble comes just as Paris is gearing up to host the Olympics in July, and the move could give the far-right anti-immigrant National Rally Party, who've just won record-high votes, a real shot at political power after years on the sidelines.
Ce soir, un vent d'espérance s'est levé sur la France, et il ne fait que commencer.
People in France are hoping Macron's gamble will be worth it.
J'espère que les risques qu'il prend vont porter fruit et je souhaite vraiment que le RN ne passe pas.
C'est la peur de la montée du fascisme en Europe, donc la peur que ça continue de se diffuser, que des personnes violentes se sentent plus légitimées à agir de manière violente, à agresser les personnes LGBT, les personnes racisées, etc.
Not all far-right parties made headway in the EU. In Belgium, Poland, and Hungary, no extremist landslides, but enough of a defeat in Belgium's tandem national vote to push Prime Minister Alexander De Croo to resign. And despite winning the most votes in Hungary, Prime Minister Viktor Orban's far-right party came out with the worst results in Orban's 14-year rule. Meanwhile, the transnational centre-right European People's Party has kept its lead as the biggest group in EU Parliament, a result celebrated by Ursula von der Leyen, who's seeking a second 5-year term as head of the European Commission.
Together with others, we will build a bastion against the extremes from the left and from the right. We will stop them. This is for sure.
But with a record number of seats going to far-right parties, the EU may be headed in a new direction, all while stakes remain high for the world's largest trading bloc, amid mounting anti-immigration sentiment, economic tensions with China, and raging wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Andy Xue and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Narendra Modi has been sworn in for a historic third straight term as India's Prime Minister. Thousands of people attended the ceremony in the capital Delhi, including the heads of neighboring Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. It comes after nearly 2 months of voting in the world's largest democracy. Modi's party won the election with a much lower margin than predicted. The resurgence in India's opposition means this is the first term he will need to form a coalition government. Taipei is celebrating one of Taiwan's major annual holidays, the Dragon Boat Festival. Sandy Chi went to the riverside to catch the races.
Braving heavy rain and heat on the Keelung River. The Taipei International Dragon Boat Championships was held over the weekend. It's an annual event marking Duanwujie, the Dragon Boat Festival. It's one of the biggest holidays on Taiwan's calendar, celebrated on the 5th day of the 5th lunar month. Dragon boat races have been held in Taipei since as far back as 1895. The city's official event has been held at the Dajia Riverside Park for decades.
今天就是我们端午佳节的龙舟比赛啊，对，那我们已经参加第10年了。
Over 200 teams signed up for the championships this year, hoping to win the grand prize, a record $107,000 US. Many of them had trained for months, and some even had to compete in the rain. But the wet weather couldn't dampen their spirits.
看这个雨，你现在感想如何呢？等下就湿啊，我们很 sexy。等下你看，我们都已经弄好了，准备好了。
大家一起奋力，非常开心，终于可以晋级了。
Taipei's race is unique. It still uses wooden dragon boats, handmade by the master boat builder, Liao. In other places, boats are often made with modern materials, like fiberglass or carbon fiber.
Each dragon-shaped vessel can hold up to 21 people, including 18 paddlers, a steersperson, a flag catcher, and the drummer. The drummer sets the pace of the paddlers, and the sound of the drum is said to be the heartbeat of the dragon.
Other than racing dragon boats, there are other, less physically demanding ways to celebrate the festival. Many people eat 粽子, glutinous rice dumplings stuffed with pork, mushrooms, and much more, all wrapped in bamboo leaves. They're sold all over at local markets at this time of year.
我小时候我就做菜市场，就是有这个传统。
想说已经过节了，然后来买粽子过一下节这样而已。打算买干贝跟蛋黄的鲜肉粽这样。
Demand for the seasonal treats is always high.
好像不错，这目前已经都卖光。哦，非常的好。那总共你大概知道每天包几个，卖出几个吗？每天至少包个1-2千个吧。
There are different stories about why people eat 粽子 during the Dragon Boat Festival. The most popular one is about a famous poet, Hualien, who drowned himself in a river over 2,000 years ago in China. To prevent the fish from eating his body, his admirers threw sticky rice dumplings into the river for the fish to eat instead. Fast forward to today, and the Dragon Boat Festival is a vibrant holiday in Taiwan. Every beat of the drum, every stroke of the paddle, and every bite of 粽子 brings joy to the community. Patrick Chen, Ryan Wu, Reese Ayres, and Sanny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, let's take a look at animals across Taiwan enjoying Dragon Boat Festival treats. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.